Hey, what is up guys? It's Dr. Sammy, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I want to give you guys a lecture that I'm actually going to be presenting to my alma mater, UCLA, in a couple of days. And I just finished the lecture and I figured that this would apply to my YouTube channel as well. So this is a lecture that I'm presenting. It's going to basically give you ideas about how to be successful after dental school, or within the first 5 years after dental school. So the title of the lecture is Positioning Yourself for Success in Private Practice. And let's jump right in. The goal of today's lecture is going to be to provide actionable tips that will help you succeed immediately after dental school. The actionable part is underlined because this is very important to me. I want you guys to have things, tools that you can immediately put into action after watching this lecture. So I hope it helps, and I hope I provide a lot of value. A little bit about me. My name is Dr. Sammy Shahal. I graduated UCLA in 2016. Currently work at a corporate style practice as well as my mother's practice. She's been in practice for about 33 years, and I love what I do, and I also love making YouTube videos. This is my wife, the girl on the left. She's a dentist as well. This picture was taken at UCLA a couple days before graduation. One of my favorite photos from her graduation. And this is my mother on the left as well. This is the person who is a mentor for me, who's a leader, who teaches me a lot about team leadership, the technical aspects of dentistry, and much, much more. Okay, and we'll talk about mentorship later on in the lecture. So the topics for today, we're going to be talking about 4 main topics. The first one is going to be choosing a practice, meaning what criteria is important when you decide to find what practice works for you. Debt management, we'll talk about the different things you need to be thinking about to control your debt after dental school. Brand development, what can you do within the first 5 years before having a practice to position yourself as an authority figure in the dental space in your community. And the path to office ownership. Talk a little bit about my journey to office ownership. So once again, a lot of you guys are going to be out of dental school soon, within the next couple years, I would imagine, and you're going to have to make a choice, and the choice is, what practice should you be working at? So when you're deciding when to choose a practice, or how to look for a practice, I should say, there's a couple ways that you can find a practice. And the 3 main ways are listed below. So you can either do CRAIGSLIST or Indeed, type in dentist, type in the location of where you want to work, and you'll be able to find listings of various practices out there. There's also dental societies. They'll tell you when a dentist is looking for an associate dentist, or just word of mouth. So if you know a variety of dentists know each other, and they'll let you know that a dentist is looking for an associate dentist, or for a person right out of graduate school. So these are the options. The one that I used after I graduated dental school was the first one, CRAIGSLIST and Indeed. And just to give you an idea about this, if you go on CRAIGSLIST, you're going to just type dentist, type in your location. It's going to look like this. There's going to be listings, and you're going to click through the listings. And in the listing, they're going to give you a variety of information. For example, in this particular listing, it's saying that they want a minimum of 3 years of experience, and that may also include AEGD, GPR experience. It's a practice that accepts a variety of insurances. They want you to do endo and oral surgery. Does that mean that if you don't do endo and oral surgery, you shouldn't apply? Not necessarily, but that's what they're looking for. Bilingual dentist is preferred, so they want someone who can also speak Spanish, because in San Diego, Spanish is a very common language. So these are the things that you're going to be looking at while evaluating whether the practice is right for you. This is an example of an Indeed listing. Same thing, but you can see here they're going to talk about compensation, and they say it's a % of adjusted production. We'll talk a little bit about that later when we talk about salary of the different models. But here they're basically saying you're going to be compensated through a percentage of how much you produce. Okay? And we'll go into that a little bit later in the lecture. So actionable advice when you are applying for a job, a couple things you want to do. Send out a variety of applications. I would encourage everyone to send 5 or more applications out on the same day. Just send it out like a mass email. Change the wording a little bit for each individual practice. But you want to get your information out there, because not everyone is going to get back to you, and the people that do get back to you, you may not like their practice when you do a working interview. Okay? Working interview is the ultimate goal. Once you do the working interview, you'll be able to better assess whether the practice is the right fit for you, and choose a location that's close to home. I say this because it's applicable to me. I did a working interview at a practice that was far away. I really liked the doctor, I really liked the practice, but that 40-minute commute was just not worth it. Some people maybe are more tolerable of having a longer commute, and for those people I commend you, but for me it was just too much. Okay? 3 major criteria when choosing a practice, or once you get to the working interview and making I guess that definitive decision. It's going to be salary, which is very important because you guys have a tremendous amount of debt, the environment in the practice, and also the wording in the contracts. Okay? So for salary, there's different models of getting paid in dentistry. Basically, you can get paid by getting a percentage of production or collection. That means that however much you produce, you're going to get a percentage of that. So if you have a crown that is, let's just say it's $1,000 crown that you do and you complete and the patient's happy, then you may get anywhere between 25 to 33% of what the office produced. So $330 to $250 if it's a $1,000 crown. Okay? Per diem is another model. That means you're getting paid per day. So they may say that, oh, you're a new grad, we want to pay you $500 per day, and then we might renegotiate later depending on how much you're producing in the practice. Or it's going to be a combination of both. And the combination is basically like, they'll give you a minimum salary of, let's say, $700, but if you produce more, and the percentage of production is higher than that $700, then they may give you more than $700. So these are all the different models. When we talk about these different models, just this is from my experience in San Diego. It's going to differ whether you're in Texas or whether you're in the East Coast or whatever. But in San Diego, this is what I've noticed, also talking to my friends. The per diem salary immediately after dental school is around $500. That's going to be the lowest end of the salary spectrum. And it's very common, that number, okay? It can go up to around $700. I've seen that happen with some of my friends that are working in San Diego. If you want to get paid more, typically the production collection model is a little bit better for that. And typically what you'll get paid is anywhere between $800 to $1,400 per day, depending on what type of procedures you're doing, whether it's a highly productive procedure or not, how busy you are, and things of that nature. And we'll jump into the different style of practices and what that means in terms of the environment working there. And then there's also a combination. With combination, like I said, what I've seen, what I've experienced is that they'll say like a 700 minimum, and if you make more, then you get more. Okay? Okay. Actionable advice. Let me get a sip of water here. When you're negotiating salary, they're typically, from my experience, they're going to ask you, what do you want to make? My advice is always ask higher than what you want. So if you want to make $700, you're going to ask for $800. If you want to make $800, you're going to ask for $900. If you want production, just be clear and communicate that you want a production-based model. Okay? But if you want a production model, how much work are they going to give you? So these are things you need to think about. Production model is typically going to be a higher salary, and the per diem model is going to be the ability to give you great mentorship. Typically, if it's per diem, I've seen this in a lot of private practices, you're going to be able to connect with the owner dentist, and I've experienced a lot of great mentorship in these type of models. So you have to decide what's important to you going out of dental school. Okay, a little bit about the environment. So when we talk about environment, there's a couple categories under that major category. So there's mentorship, types of procedures, patient population, office managers, and dental assistants. With mentorship, you're going to be asking yourself, which model, do the DSO corporate models give you good mentorship, or do the private practice give you good mentorship? Types of procedures, what types of procedures are you performing? Are you doing extractions, root canals, surgeries, implants? Are you just doing basic fillings, crowns? Are you not allowed to do certain procedures? For patient population, you got to think about what type of patients are you working with. Are you working with patients who have been with a doctor for their whole life? Are you working with patients who are comfortable seeing multiple doctors in a practice? Are you working with a patient population that primarily speaks Spanish or primarily speaks a different type of language? So these are things that you have to consider. Office managers, are the office managers overbearing? Are they pushy? Does that make you feel uncomfortable working at that practice? Is that something that you can tolerate and that you can handle? Or are the office managers really nice? And dental assistants, are you working with a variety of dental assistants, or are you working with a primary dental assistant? So for me, my mentor is my mother. I work with her immediately after dental school, and within a month she provided more value than any dental school can give you out of 4 years of education. So I'm very lucky to be in that position where I have someone very close to me who can guide me through the technical aspects of dentistry, as well as leadership, team leadership, and things like that. You have to find a really good mentor. Now, my wife, who also works primarily at a corporate style office, she doesn't have that mentorship because she's very busy throughout the day, that she doesn't have the ability to interact with another dentist and talk about procedures and build that rapport. I value mentorship. I think it's incredibly important, and I think you have to find a practice that gives you some type of mentorship, or you have to find someone that gives you some type of mentorship throughout your dental journey. Types of procedures, you know, there's certain types of offices, which a lot of my friends, they were unable to do a lot of procedures they wanted to do, like oral surgery or root canals, because those procedures were primarily reserved for the endodontist in the practice or the oral surgeon in the practice. So if that's something that you want to do, maybe that's not the right fit for you. While there's other offices that give you complete freedom, and you're doing molar root canals and extraction, and you're doing everything. And are you prepared to take on that challenge? So these are questions that you constantly have to be thinking about during this process. Let's see, for types of procedure, I just want to show some videos. This is an example of a veneer cementation protocol. I did this in my mother's practice, and it's filmed, rubber dam, Teflon, the right way of doing it. Not a lot of practices are going to give you that luxury to have that much time to do certain procedures, or to get very creative, or to, I guess, enjoy the artistic aspects of dentistry. And is that going to bother you? So think about that. Taking a lot of dental photos and reviewing your work. This is an incredibly important part about dentistry. Taking a lot of photos is powerful. It allows you to get much better very quickly. And you know, once again, like, are you making sure to do really nice crown preparations, where you're making sure the margins are really smooth and clean, and just taking the time to do excellent work? In some practices, you're not going to have that time. Typically, what I've found from my own experience is DSO corporate offices that are based on production, you're not going to have the time to do all these things. Okay? And then implant impression. So just some offices will give you the ability to do implants, some offices won't. Okay? This is me on a microscope, whatever. Okay. Patient population, we talked a little bit about that, but if you're working at an office that primarily, you know, all the patients have seen one doctor for all of their life, well, you come in, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's actually one of the most uncomfortable things, where the patient says, oh, are you a new doctor? Oh, when did you graduate? Oh, this and this, you know. These are questions that can make you feel very uncomfortable, and it's a challenge, and it will get easier, but so you have to understand, are you working at an office like that, or are you working at an office where patients don't really care which doctor they see? And I wouldn't say wouldn't care, but they're less likely to be bothered by that. Also, are you working primarily Hispanic population? If you are, then maybe you have to learn Spanish or a different language depending on who you're working with, and so on and so forth. Okay. Office managers, I have personally worked with office managers who have been very pushy before in the past. And it's very hard to deal with. You have to be strong. You have to stand up for your convictions and your beliefs, because a lot of the office managers are going to push you to do treatment that maybe you're not comfortable with, or they may question what type of procedures you're doing. And you have to be very, you have to be a strong person to not let that affect you negatively. So just understand that that's a thing that's going to happen after practice. And then dental assistants, we talked about that, but some offices, you might have to be training the dental assistant, while other offices have very trained and experienced dental assistants. You want trained dental assistants when you're doing dentistry. It's hard enough as it is, and if you have someone who's very skilled or exceptionally skilled, they're gonna help you, help your dentistry be better as well. Okay, so actionable advice: choose a practice that makes you happy. That's the most important thing, because dentistry is so incredibly hard, and immediately after dental school, some people are going to break down, and you just have to find a place that you're happy at. It's not all about making money, you know. Find a place that works for you. Work at a variety of different practices to find the ideal location. You're not going to know what practices are out there unless you work at a variety of them. So don't be afraid to get your feet wet in a couple practices, and then make an educated decision about which practice you want to stick with. And then find your mentor early. Some of you are lucky enough to have a family member who's in dentistry, but you know, find a couple of mentors. Some people might mentor you on a leadership level. Some people might mentor you on a technical level. Find mentors, befriend them, and have them in your life for your academic or your dental career. Contracts, well, contracts can get really difficult. You just have to understand that you really need to be diligent in reading all of the verbiage in the contract, and you have to understand what your future plans are. If there's verbiage in the contract that limit you from opening a practice in the future, or if they put restrictions on you, you know, you have to understand what the implications are. We had a contract in a previous practice a while ago where the wording kind of limited our ability to open a new practice. Now, even though that's probably is not in the court of law that would hold up, it's still in the contract. It still made us feel a little bit uncomfortable, and we ended up having to revise that contract to make it work. So with contracts, just read everything. Understand that you know, you don't have to sign it immediately. You can give your input as well. You may say that I don't feel comfortable with this particular wording in a contract and I want it changed to something else, and that's totally fine. Don't get locked into a contract if you're not comfortable. Okay? Okay, so debt management. This is a big topic in itself. You know, dental school, the amount of debt is just incredible, and we need to talk about how are we going to be able to pay off the debt. Considerations: income, refinancing loans, loan forgiveness, and just managing your money. So income is going to be the best thing for you, because when you have debt, you need to have a high income to pay it off. Okay, so just have that basic understanding that making more money is going to help you pay down the debt. I know it sounds kind of trivial, but it's something that we need to nail that in. Okay, a little infographic from ASDA about student debt. I guess it was $285,000 average in 2018. I would imagine it's a little bit more now. Okay. For me, this is an example of my actual debt. This is a direct unsubsidized Stafford loan. And the thing you need to look at here is the interest rate. That's the most important thing, okay? Well, other than I guess the high amount. When you have an interest rate that's 6.8%, that is incredibly high, guys. And you need to manage that interest rate. Now, everyone here, the federal government made interest rate 0. I don't know if they're going to keep it like that. Ideally, that would be the case, and I think maybe they will. We'll see what happens. But either way, let's talk about pre-COVID. If you have an interest rate like that, that's not acceptable. So you need to find something that is lower. In this particular case, I refinanced and consolidated my loans to get a 2.95% interest rate. You can do this through a variety of banks. There's like SoFi, First Republic. I did mine through First Republic Bank. And there's a variety of them. So after dental school, you need to work for a year, and then you can call one of these lenders, and they will give you the ability to refinance your, consolidate and refinance your student loans, which may or may not be good for you right now, because I don't know what the government's gonna do. Who knows if the government gives you guys like maybe being on the government loans right now might be a benefit. So we'll see. Loan forgiveness. There are a variety of programs that can forgive your loans, and I would definitely encourage you guys to look into it. CALHEALTHCARES, this is a really big one right now. It basically is talking about serving the Medi-Cal community for 5 years, and it will pay up to $300,000 worth of your student loans. And you have to work with like a certain percentage of Medi-Cal population after dental school. This isn't, I mean, this is huge. So you have to apply, okay? Some numbers, I guess 241 or 38 dentists were awarded. General dentistry, they gave it mainly to general dentists. Let's see, and then this breaks down to the practices they gave it to. Let me see if I can get back there. Hold on. Okay, yeah, so private solo practices, they gave it to 7. Private practices, group practice 12. Community clinic 17, and academic 2. Okay, there's a link if you want to apply. There's a DIA, I guess they have a public service loan forgiveness program. I don't know much about it, but that's another way that you can pay off your loans. And then there's the Army or Navy or whatever. Either way, I think it's incredibly important, and it's something that I would definitely consider. Okay, let me just close this out really quick. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. Management techniques. So there's a variety of ways to work with your money. High yield savings account, you guys got to look into what your bank is giving you in terms of APR, giving you the ability to make money on your money. Conservative spending, don't be stupid. Be very conservative in your spending habits. You don't need a nice fancy car. To be honest, we are poorer after dental school than most people, so just don't go crazy. Living arrangements, a lot of people live at home. That's the best way, I think, to do it if you can tolerate your parents. And investment education. You need to understand about where to invest your money, whether it be in the stock market, whether you're going to do an IRA, like a retirement account. You got to have that education. A lot of us are not educated, including myself, and I'm in the process right now of understanding all that education, okay? Actionable advice, apply to the CALHEALTHCARES program, refinance your loans for a lower interest rate, and don't refinance if you're unsure of your future plans, because if you, let's say, want to travel to Europe and you don't want to do dentistry for a year, well, with the government loans, you can change your payment plan, but if you refinance your loans with one of these private banks, you're paying that loan every month. Okay, brand development, just a little bit, guys. Most important thing you can do is get a nice high quality dental photography camera. For me, it's a Nikon camera with an 80 to 100 millimeter lens, or this one's 85, like a dual flash lighting system. That's the best one. I actually have a ring flash right now, but I want to get the dual flash one. Taking beautiful photos is going to be, I think it's a way to attract patients into your practice. It also, just taking photos of your clinical work makes you better, allows you to see all the mistakes that you've made and how to not make those mistakes again. Also, being able to show patients before and afters. This is like an abfraction lesion that I covered with composite, and just showing that. Actionable advice, take 1 photo a day. That's it. Just take your camera and just take 1 photo a day. If you do that in clinical practice for the first year, once the year's up, you're going to be an excellent dental photographer. Okay, YouTube lessons on photography. There's just so many. YouTube is an educational powerhouse. Go on YouTube, learn. If it makes you happy, you know. So, professional course for those that are serious. I haven't taken any professional course personally. I know there are a variety of amazing ones out there. I think John Searbu is one of my Instagram friends. He has a course, so I would encourage you guys to go check out that. Social media, you can take your accounts and make them huge. These are some really big names. Dr. Rubenstein is a general cosmetic dentist, works with his family in New York. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen his video. The Braces guy has 1.7 million followers on TikTok. And even one of our own, our UCLA friend, my roommate for 4 years, Greg Asatrian, he has a channel called Braces Explained, where he has over 4 million views or something like that, over 55,000 subscribers. And this is an amazing tool because you're going to get patients from this when he doesn't even have a practice. He had this literally when he was in his orthodontic residency. So this is just an incredibly powerful tool. It opens a lot of doors, brand deals, things like that, and you can actually get paid from YouTube advertisements, for instance. Greg probably doesn't want me to tell you guys how much he gets paid off YouTube advertisements, but it's definitely something significant. Tools. Camera, lighting, audio editing. You need a nice camera. I take that back. You can use your iPhone if you want, but I'm going to tell you what I use. So I use a nice camera, my Nikon camera with a Rode mic. You can do podcasting. I would encourage you getting a nice audio thing like a Yeti microphone. Editing software. This is for people that are more advanced that really want to take that branding to a new level. You want to get good at editing. This is Final Cut Pro. Actionable advice, pick up a camera, film yourself. You need to get comfortable talking in front of a camera. That's the most important thing. It's very hard to do. I've made YouTube videos for about 4 years now. I'm maybe 10% better than where I was at the beginning, so it's an uphill journey, but the more you do it, the more opportunities will come from it, I think. Path to office ownership. You know, I'm currently on the journey. Like I said earlier on, I work with my mother, and my wife is also a dentist, and we're in the process of expanding to a practice that has enough chairs for all of us to work there at the same time. It really depends. If you have a family member who's a dentist, you might think about expanding. If you don't have a family member or have no one in dentistry, you might want to take over a practice, maybe a small practice, small investment, and then build the patient population and then grow from there. Or you can start from scratch. Starting from scratch is difficult, but it's another way to do it. You don't need to have all the fancy stuff, fancy lighting, fancy office. You could start with a really small operatory. That's how, you know, my mom built her practice. She started with like 2 ops, and then she eventually had 3, and then she, you know, hired a hygienist, and now she has two hygienists running full time. So the journey is different for everyone. This is an example of our new office architectural plan. My sister's doing the architectural designs. These are like, what's it called? Idea slides, just an idea of how we want the office. And yeah, so yeah, that's about it. I mean, when you're getting an office, you're going to be getting like probably an SBA loan where you have to put initial down payment, and and then you're going to have to like pay a certain, depending on if you buy it or not. So when you get the office, so you're going to have the decision about whether to buy an office space or whether you're going to lease an office space. I don't want to get into too much details of that now, but there are benefits and negatives to each option. Okay. So yeah, just some cool stuff. I guess a little reflection. Certainty is the enemy of growth and high performance. This quote rings really true for me, and I think it's really important. Don't let fear dictate your decisions. If you want to learn a certain procedure, go ahead and take continuing education courses that help you learn that procedure. And, you know, don't let fear, like, you know, just take action. Don't be complacent. If you're not happy at your practice, then you can go to another practice. If you're not happy with the amount you're getting paid, well, then ask for more pay. Dentistry is really hard. And like I said, it will break a lot of people down within the first couple of years after dental school. You have to get past it. You will get past it. Have a variety of friends to talk to. My favorite pastime is talking to my friends and, you know, sharing stories from our practice experience. So yeah, get friends, get mentors, and that will help you get through it. Let me see, is there any other slides? And that's it. So I know I talked really fast. I wanted to get through a lot of information. I hope this helps. If this helps one person, then I'm happy. I didn't have a lot of advice after, or I guess in my 3rd, 4th year of dental school. And I tried to give you guys some tips that I think would be very valuable. If you guys need to reach me or have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section below, or contact me on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching the lecture, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you.